Hey everyone, I'm Mark Hennick. This is So-Called Normal. Today on the show, we have Kimberly Moffit, YouTuber, psychotherapist, relationship expert. We talk a lot about relationships, and, Valentine's Day is coming up, so happy Valentine's Day. Don't forget. I'm someone I have depression, yes, but I also have social anxiety disorder, and I've noticed time and time again in my relationships how my social anxiety can interfere with that, and how it makes me want to retreat into myself and not engage with people, and that's difficult because it turns out relationships are a two-way street. You got to give and you have to take. So I think you'll really enjoy the conversation that we had. Without further ado, here's my Valentine's Day conversation with Kimberly Moffit.
My name is Kimberly Moffit, and I, at the moment, am a YouTuber. But I've had a really unconventional history in the world of relationships and in mental health and in therapy. So my history is that I have a doctoral degree in clinical and counseling psychology, but I'm not a licensed psychologist because I have this YouTube channel and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's geared specifically towards relationships. Right. And so there were some rules with the College of Psychologists about not being able to work with brands.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about this. This is really interesting. So why? Because is it why? I don't even know why that would be.
Our colleges in Canada are very strict. So if you live in the States and you're like, I want to support Sensodyne, you can do that. But here in Canada, we're not really allowed to put our name or face behind a brand because it would be seen as a conflict of interest as a government-regulated health professional.
Interesting.
So I had to make a decision when I finished my 14 years of university. I had to make a decision on whether or not I would get licensed. And ultimately, I was having so much fun with my channel and so much fun with speaking and doing some really creative things that I loved. So ultimately, I decided not to get licensed, which was a really big decision.
That doesn't rule it out, though. I mean, you're always going to be so I guess you can't call yourself a psychologist
exactly,
then? Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, you know what? In many ways, a PhD in psychology, you get to just trot that out every time now.
Absolutely.
You can't just sum it up as psychologist.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So then what does being a YouTuber give you that being a psychologist wouldn't?
Well, actually, I still own the clinics that I started 10 years ago. So we actually have 4 locations in Toronto now. We have one at Yonge and Eglinton, King West, Liberty Village, and in Yorkville as well. That's our latest one. Yeah. And so I started that, and I love growing businesses. I really like to be creative and grow them. So we have about 25 employees now for those clinics. But on YouTube, I really so I started actually about 4 years ago after I had my daughter. And I made little relationship videos in my office, kind of not really knowing, where it would take me or what it would do, but I was just giving advice. And pretty quickly I realized my audience was all young women between 13 and 25, and I was not expecting that at all. So I kept making videos for that audience, and the channel really took off within a period of a few months, I'd say.
And you're up to how many subscribers now?
Almost 700,000 now.
That's huge. Congratulations.
So thank you. Yeah, it was not expected at all. And so, but the cool thing is YouTube allows you so much creative freedom and so much expression, and so and such a mass audience where you can really touch so many people with the same amount of work as maybe you'd be seeing a week's worth of clients at an office. And so so that's what I kind of dedicate myself now part-time to as well, is my YouTube channel called Ask Kimberly.
Ask Kimberly. So I noticed that as well, that you have a very active listener base of young women who really invest a lot in what you're talking about and the types of issues that they're navigating. So what are some of the more common requests that you get from people and that you talk about on your channel?
Yeah, well, I think nowadays growing up as a girl is really tough. And it was like that when I was growing up as well. And I picture myself as a teenage girl, maybe 13 or 14, really nerdy, kind of quiet, not really having the skills or the empowering advice to be able to talk to people, or I know that sounds kind of funny, but it's just a very awkward age. And at that age, your relationships are basically everything. It's your friends and your relationship with your parents and having a crush, and all of those things can kind of feel like the ultimate high or the ultimate low. And I really think think that's the majority of my subscribers are really in that place. They find the channel because they're looking for advice. And so some of the main questions are really, how do I read someone's body language? How can I talk to someone in a way that expresses how I feel? How can I tell if someone likes me? And those are some of the kind of core videos of the channel. And I try to deliver that advice in a way that's not the type of thing that I would have read in a 17 magazine growing up, because that's all I had to kind of base my decisions on as a teen. So it's a little bit more heartfelt, and I think coming from me, somebody who has been there before and actually really cares about the outcome or cares about their confidence, for me it's something really special that I get to do.
Yeah, well, and you can speak in a language that connects with them as well, and it's probably, I think, because you were doing that either before or with becoming a PhD level psychologist, PhD level therapist. There we go. Okay. You haven't changed in that respect. You haven't turned into the doctor or the professional. You can still speak using that target language, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, even the professional kind of language wouldn't really work on YouTube, to be honest, either. I don't use my doctor title just because I think it's, on YouTube, it's really about connecting with your audience and talking about things they want to hear, but not in a patronizing way.
Well, and it's a barrier right away. I mean, it puts you above, even if you don't act that way, it creates this separation.
100%. And so it's kind of like a bit of a big sister role, which I really enjoy. I never had a big sister growing up, and I always wanted a big sister to get advice from and everything. So
I had a big sister growing up, but she wasn't as bubbly and as you. She went through a glam grunge phase in the 90s sometime.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. I will not let her forget it or the pictures.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. We all have pictures we want to erase from that time period.
That's true. So where did you grow up then? In Toronto?
I grew up in Guelph, Ontario. Mm-hmm. And I actually did my undergrad degree there as well in music. Okay. Then I went to Laurier to study music therapy as my master's. So that's kind of how I got into the counseling aspect of things. So
music therapy. What drew you to music therapy?
Well, actually, this is going to sound really funny, but I didn't really know a lot about music therapy when I got into the program. I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew that I wasn't quite finished my education, and I had the credentials from kind of both psychology and music to get into the program.
Okay,
so I was like,
so it just worked.
I know, and they would accept 4 students a year, but it's really specific criteria. And I was like, okay, like I feel like I want to do my master's. I'm really interested, but at the time I didn't know a lot about it, and so I learned over the next 2 years. But I ultimately felt like it wasn't the right career choice for me, but that it led me somewhere really good, which was psychotherapy and counseling. So
interesting, yeah. So it doesn't sound like you were, born wanting to be a music therapist, and that's what you studied all your life. And
some people really are, and it's a wonderful career path as well. So
absolutely is. So actually, can you tell us a little bit about music therapy, what you learned in your master's, and how that works? I don't think a lot of people actually really know a lot about it. Yeah,
well, music therapy is a very effective form of therapy for many people, specifically certain types of clients. So I worked with children with autism, but there's a lot of research kind of in geriatric populations as well, and I even worked at KMH for a little while in the schizophrenia ward, which was really interesting because some of those patients have like a history of being in the music industry and are quite creative. And so music therapy really is a way of helping someone express themselves in a non-intimidating environment, and then it can lead to talking and it can lead to other things. And the research I did for my graduate thesis was actually with adolescents in high school. Okay. So it was helping, because I have a bit of a pop music background, we would sit down and write songs together. And that's considered music therapy. And then we'd kind of interview all the students after they'd created these songs and talk to them about what it meant for them.
Yeah. So are you a musician then yourself? I mean, you've studied music for a long time.
Yeah. So I grew up as a musician. I was a professional musician for a little while with the Drayton Festival Theatre.
Okay. What did you play?
I actually sing and I play the piano.
Sing. Okay,
yes.
Great.
So, but classical. And then when I was 18, this is like a very funny path for me, is that I actually sang pop music for a few years as part of a trio, like a pop trio in Canada. And we did a lot of touring, and we had a song on Much Music and that type of thing, which really wasn't my space. It really wasn't my world, but it was super fun. Sure. And I had a really great experience doing it. And that band was called Untamed.
Untamed. So do you still perform at all, sing, have a reunion?
I don't perform with them, but now I just sing for fun, and sometimes I even sing on my channel. Like I'll do little parodies and stuff like that. But yeah, it's such a fun skill to have, and I think music is really, for me, has been like a gateway to many other things because it's so creative, and you can really. Therapy is so creative too. So I think it's a nice mix of art and science.
Yeah, when I was doing community work, I had a client briefly who had schizophrenia, and you mentioned working in the schizophrenia ward at a hospital. But this was in a community setting. So we went to his apartment. It was supportive housing. And we walked in, and he was a painter. He had paintings 5, 6, 10 deep everywhere on every wall.
Oh my gosh!
Stacked. And they were really good.
Wow.
That's the thing. Like I don't think of myself as I'm more of an art watcher than an expert, but I can tell when something is pretty good.
Yeah.
But I was struck by the fact that it was such a shame that the world couldn't see this extraordinary art that was in this apartment, right?
Oh my gosh.
So now we see more and more people, whether it be music or art or dance or whatever, really having a platform to share their gift with others.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, I think even when you're going through something, like for me as a teen, when I would be going through a hard time, the first thing I would do is go and write a song. And so in a way, it's kind of, whether or not you have a therapist for it, I think it's a really nice vehicle to kind of express yourself and get through whatever rough times you're going through. And sometimes that's not enough, but I think it's a nice way to, whether it's dance or music or art, kind of express yourself. So.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of times, working through stuff as a young person.
Yeah.
What were you working on? The typical teenage stuff, or did you encounter some adversity in your life?
Gosh, that's a really deep question.
That's what
Mark.
we're here for.
Is that what we're here for?
We've got our typical 50-minute session.
So now you're my therapist. Oh my gosh.
But I am not a licensed psychologist, so I have to say that I think legally too.
That's really funny. Well, I think in many ways I was a really typical teenage girl, but I was insanely conscientious and very A-type. So if you can picture like a young Hermione Granger, like that's basically me.
Right. Perfectionist?
Super perfectionist.
Yeah.
And so for me, the issues that I encountered growing up were really like in the realm of self-esteem, and eating and body image and things like that. I think that's really normal. Yeah. And so with a lot of my subscribers, we notice that some of the same things kind of come up, and there's questions about that. So I have a few videos on that type of thing.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have 3 younger brothers. Yeah.
3? Okay, so you're the oldest. Oh,
yeah.
Yes. So were you mom at any point?
Yes. Yeah. But, my parents were very busy growing up. I had a really loving family. I was really, really lucky. But I did encounter a lot of life's events on my own. I had to figure things out kind of on my own. And I feel like I always felt like I needed someone to kind of help me along. And so I reached out to like older cousins and things like that. And even my dance teacher played a really big role in like helping me choose universities.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you found, because you needed them, functionally, role models and other people to help you. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that's kind of tied into like maybe why I feel the need to do the work I do now. Because I'm like, I feel like growing up is tough and you don't always have someone to, it's not the same thing as sitting down with someone one-on-one, but feeling like you can have advice or someone to lean on is important.
Sure. Well, and this is why I like exploring not only why people are doing what they're doing now, but what got them there. Yeah. I've never encountered anybody yet who's doing work that's completely unconnected that they just parachuted into, right? Yeah. Even if, though, sometimes it can feel like that you don't know how you got to where you are.
Yeah.
But there's almost always a path. And
absolutely.
I think I've had similar feelings of maybe you haven't had it to this extreme, but if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself kind of thing. You're just going to take control. You're going to do it because that's what you had to do, right?
Yeah,
growing
absolutely.
Up, you had to do it.
Absolutely.
So then how did you make the jump from the master's degree into doing the PhD, into becoming a therapist and opening a fleet of clinics
it's been a long journey.
Yeah. Like you really went all in on this thing.
I did. But I think it's a testament to how like when young people are like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I'm kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter. You're going to figure it out.
Just do something.
Just do something. And like I had no idea either, and I figured it out, and I kind of jumped from thing to thing. But as long as you're following like where your heart is, I think that's the most important thing.
Well, and so often people, this isn't just the young people, certainly adults do it too. They get way lost out in all this stuff that may never happen, that they don't know, and then they miss the moment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like there's no need to stress about the future. It's just about doing what your heart is in right now.
Yeah.
Although I need to take that advice more seriously myself sometimes.
Really? Yeah. Those who can't do teach, as we say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess like after I finished my master's, I was kind of legally able to practice psychotherapy as a counselor, but I felt like I still needed more education in psychology. So I actually, funny enough, started my practice as a way to get hours for my doctorate because I needed supervision here in Canada.
Talk about type A, yeah. I need supervision, so I'll just create a structure to supervise me.
I did, and luckily I got approval for it because I'm not sure, like, it was really funny. I didn't know that I would get approved for that, so I applied, and so basically I had this private practice, which I was seeing a few clients a week in, and that's kind of some of the hours I was getting for school. But then I realized I really loved marketing, and I really loved social media, and I loved doing media appearances. So that kind of stuff just built up, I guess, as a result of having this tiny little practice. And within probably 6 months, I was completely full, and I, at the time, was reading a lot of Robert Kiyosaki, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and a lot of financial literature that I love. I'm really into finance. And so I was all about this passive income thing. Like I thought, that would be cool if my business could run and it could go when I'm not there. So I thought, and if I get sick or if I want to have kids, then I won't be able to see all these clients myself. I'll need a little bit of help. So I hired my first 2 associates, like within the first year of business, which was really soon. But they would see clients when I wasn't there. And we had a little answering service that was like answering the phone, and they were booking appointments for these other therapists when I wasn't in the office. So pretty soon we were busy enough that we had to move to a bigger space at Yonge and Eglinton.
Yeah. So then, I have a friend as well who her background is in social work, but she did something similar. She wanted to start up a clinic and bring on associates, and she realized really quickly that she was educated as a social worker. She didn't get an MBA, right?
Exactly.
She was never taught in social work school, like you don't learn in when you're doing a psychology degree,
100%.
how to actually run a business.
Yeah, it's something that nobody ever expects, but I think I even love business. Business is probably like my number one passion. That sounds kind of funny because I'm passionate about a lot of things. But my dad was an entrepreneur, and I've probably read like every entrepreneurial, like important piece of entrepreneurial literature out there. And my doctoral thesis actually focused on the psychology of entrepreneurs.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. So in a nutshell, what did you find out? What did you learn about the psychology of entrepreneurs like you?
Well, entrepreneurs go through a really, really tough phase right in the beginning between years 1 through 6. If they don't give up, they're still pretty stressed after year 6. But
Jesus, it takes 6 years?
It can take even more than that. I mean,
I'm only like 2 years in. 10. Come on.
But it's really, I mean, the way I sum it up, you are learning about all of your issues in such a short period of time because you're forced to face them, right? You're doing every job, and there's a lot of highs and lows, so you really have to be emotionally mature and be able to understand what emotions you're going through because there's so much happening. You're dealing with many people usually and personality types and the thought of failure and finances and things that scare you. And you have to do it all at once. And even the fear of kind of like providing for your family is there as well.
That emotional maturity piece that you need, is it possible to become emotionally mature without being emotionally immature for a while and making a lot of mistakes and figuring it out? And, you hear like that's something that I think people get so hard on themselves for their failures.
Oh my gosh.
And they don't realize that the people that you see out there really successful, you're just not seeing all the failures.
1,000%. I mean, every super successful entrepreneur I've ever met is someone who is extremely self-aware and has probably gone through tons of failures and learned from it. But that's the beauty of life, I think, is being able to throw yourself into situations where you really don't know anything and just be vulnerable and willing to learn. And I think that's what makes you mature emotionally.
Well, and I think that's really what in my opinion, differentiates an entrepreneur, somebody who has that growth mentality, that when you have a failure, it's not oh, great, another failure. This means that I'm worthless and I can't do it. It's just, okay, well, we know what doesn't work, or at least doesn't work this time.
Yeah, and it can be devastating to have a failure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
well, it should be.
Normal.
It means you care about it, I think.
Yeah.
This is actually how I approach recovery and mental health as well, which is,
interesting.
That's a big thing for me is this. I feel like recovery orientation is a buzzword now, but this radical idea of recovery, which is that every time you have a relapse, if you're struggling, even if you become suicidal or you fall back into your eating disorder again or whatever it is, every time I relapse in my depression, I think, I know what this is. I've been here before. I know how to get out of here again. I know how long it's going to last, probably, give or take. I know it's going to suck, and I know I have to let it suck, and that's okay. But I know I'll come out the other side,
That's
too.
really,
right?
and that's so positive, having had that life experience to be able to say, I know what this is, and I'm confident that I can make it through.
Right. But I'm not sure that life experience alone does it. There seems to be, there needs to be that shift, and this is probably what you help people do in therapy, right?
Absolutely.
Is to try to change that mindset.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Although I'm not practicing anymore, I think it's it's definitely about a mindset shift. And I think for some of my clients, it's even about accepting what it is. Like with something like anxiety, it's about not saying, okay, I'm never going to be anxious again, because please.
You will be.
But it's about saying, you know what, I'm having a panic attack, or when I'm super anxious, to be able to sit with it and say, this is what I'm going to be going through for the next little while, and I'm okay with it, and that's okay. But as long as I have the tools to cope, then I'll be all right.
I've even learned, and this is where it becomes unhealthy, to use trauma and some of the collateral damage of trauma, dissociation, to my benefit as well. It's that if you can step back and dispassionately observe what's happening to you and think, oh, I'm having a panic attack right now. Look at that go. And then, that sounds really morbid, but it actually can be quite helpful,
Yeah,
too.
it's kind of like an out-of-body
Exactly, yeah. So that's
the
symptom, right, is the out-of-body experience of dissociation. But then if you can learn to use it, it's almost like lucid dreaming, I guess. So
gosh, well, I've never had that experience myself, but that's
I've had
cool.
I've had lucid dreaming once. Have you ever had? Do you do any dream stuff? Oh,
no, I
I'm
don't.
gonna have a dream person.
That would be really interesting.
It would. So okay, now we're gonna get deep into psychology, nerd. We're gonna geek out on psychology.
Okay.
So favorite type of or approach to psychotherapy?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is really funny because I don't practice this anymore, but when I practiced, I absolutely loved something called ERP, which is exposure and response prevention.
Okay.
So my absolute favorite type of client ever to work with was actually OCD.
Oh, interesting.
So like I've never experienced OCD myself before, but I feel like that's the type of client that I connect the best with.
Okay, so explain that approach a little bit deeper.
So exposure and response prevention is essentially exposing somebody to the thing they're afraid of over a long period of time. So it could be 10 sessions, 12 sessions, 16, depending on what the issue is.
And usually done for phobias, though, isn't it? And things like that?
Yes. And so usually phobias are anxiety issues. Right. So they're connected. So usually people who have phobias also have OCD.
Sure. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
So usually it's about exposing that person to the thing that they're afraid of. And so we do that in session, or we can take them out into the field and do the thing that's, whether it's driving or dogs or spiders or those types of things.
And I hope listeners have to appreciate you're not just dumping a box of spiders on them and saying, get over it.
100%. No. That's not how it works.
It's graduated here.
It's very, very gradual. Yeah. So, for example, I had a client that was very afraid of medical tests and, afraid of diseases like cancer and things like that and being diagnosed. And so he hadn't been to the doctor in like 10 years.
Wow, because of that fear. Sure, if you don't go to the doctor, you can't get diagnosed, right?
Exactly. So it's a major problem for this guy.
Sounds like my father.
Anyway. But
it
was incredible to see like how the therapy really helped him not just get over the phobia and be able to go to the doctor and get tested and all the stuff that he needed to do for the sake of his health. But then I think that once you kind of graduate from that ERP, it gives you the confidence to know that you can also overcome other issues in your life as well. So since then, he's been able to kind of start a business and get married and all the things that he was, in terms of like contamination, he didn't want to have a partner because he didn't want to kiss them and potentially infect them and that type of thing. So it was really connected to all of the things that were going on in his life.
Sure.
And it's really cool to see how ERP can directly and quickly change someone's life.
Did you ever have to dress up like a clown?
I did not.
No. Well, because there's a reason. Yeah, I was gonna say. So there's a reason that I ask, because if somebody's afraid of clowns, right? And
what can you imagine your therapist walks out?
So there is actually an episode of Frasier. I have a Frasier. No, I have a Frasier thing. It's a whole issue. We can talk about that separately. But, anyway, he's a psychiatrist, and in session he dresses up like a clown.
Oh my!
Right?
Well, that would be absolutely terrifying.
I think it would be too. So a little bit of background about me: I paid the bills in college by dressing up as a clown and entertaining at children's birthday parties. I 100% did.
I did not know that.
And my favorite part about it, I think, was the ability to put on the face paint, the proverbial mask, and be somebody else.
Oh, that's really cool.
Right? And now in many ways, like you, doing the speaking, the performing, whatever that is, it's a mask in a different form, in a different way.
Yeah, but it's kind of neat though, because I think that when you first start performing, you're very much wearing that mask, and you're very much poised. And I've seen you speak before, Mark, and you're very poised, and you know exactly what you're going to say. But the cool thing is, I think in a place like YouTube, or in the venues that you speak, you can also get really vulnerable. So it's kind of like you're performing, but you're also sharing something. And I think that's where the real performing
I think
gets
so
going.
Too. And sometimes I love the art of public speaking just as a skill. And like anything else, I think you have to learn the fundamentals. You have to learn how to structure it. You have to learn how to do the right arc, how to end it on a good note. Because people sharing their experience of their lived experience of mental illness is one of the best ways to break down stigma.
Yeah.
But there's also, I think, a good way and a not so good way to do that, right? If you're just going up on stage or in front of a camera and dumping all your trauma out on everybody and expecting them to help you through it, then that's not going to work, right?
No.
Or likewise in therapy, the whole idea of safe and effective use of self, what you're using your own stuff for, if it's for you or for somebody else.
Absolutely.
So I like that, but once you learn the fundamentals and how to structure it, then you get to play, and that's where it becomes fun, right?
Definitely.
On your YouTube, so I haven't been able to get into the YouTube thing. Apparently, I have a couple hundred followers on my account, but I've never actually posted it. Or actually, no, that's not true. I did post one video of me making a balloon dog. To circle back to the clown thing.
That's really funny.
but a bunch of people just go on there and follow it, even though I've never posted anything.
And you have a very viral TED Talk, though, so I'm sure you get a lot of followers from that.
Well, and that's probably 100% where they come from.
Okay.
It's just run off from the TED Talk. And I've always thought about using that opportunity, but I have all my own anxieties about that
really?
too. Yeah,
oh, that's so funny. Because I was going to ask you today if you were like thinking about maybe doing YouTube, and I think you'd be great. But at the same time, people always ask me, "Oh, are you going to write a book? Or are you going to do podcasts?" And I'm like, no, because I think it's important to just go with what you want to do and not have anyone.
I think so too, and I feel like I would like it, but I'm also better on paper, I think. I just don't know, like, how much do you edit and play with your talks before you actually, or your videos rather, before you publish them? Or do you just record and publish?
Oh, no, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it now.
Right.
So I used to edit all my own videos, but now I have a team. So I have someone who edits. He's in Alaska.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but sending raw footage to an editor is also very nerve-wracking, right? Because you're like, oh my God, what if I say something stupid and they're gonna, you know what I mean? You're just like, oh, this person's going to watch my raw footage. So that was like a kind of a hump to get over. And I also have somebody that helps me with production now. So like the pre-production and like setting things up, just because I have a busy schedule and it can take a while just to get everything like looking the way that I want it to. So,
but you have a vision in your mind though of how it should look and sound, and do you script them?
Yeah, sometimes. Like, it really depends on what I want to say. So I usually have some bullet points, and sometimes I just completely free flow. But then the more I free flow, the more I have to, in the editing suite, if I'm editing a part of it or whatever, I really have to construct like the story arc of it. It's the same thing as public speaking. You know, there's a lot that you just don't put in, and then a lot that you do decide little chunks and how you're going to arrange it and all that stuff, because it has to be entertaining. Yeah. And it has to be something that's easy for people to watch. So.
Well, this is it. So how long are they typically?
My videos are roughly 8 to 10 minutes, depending on the video. And the YouTube algorithm now is very savage. So it won't like it if somebody doesn't watch a good percentage of your video.
Oh, so what does that mean? What happens then?
So it will be deprioritized in the algorithm. So if somebody watches 100% of your video, then that's the type of video that could go viral.
Okay.
And if it's a very like attractive or controversial topic. Yeah. But if it's a video that people kind of click on and watch the first 20 seconds and then click away, you won't get a lot of views on it. So so I try to make everything something that's entertaining and that I don't want to click away from, something that's very compelling. So if I have something and even if I go to the trouble of creating it and it's done, but I don't find that it like meets the quality of like what I want to put out there, I just won't publish it.
Yeah. And have you noticed that, I'm sure you've done a lot of the analytics, but that time frame tends to connect best with people, that 8 to 10 minute kind of time frame? Or just shorter, better, longer, better?
So for me, it does. And YouTube likes watch time. So in their algorithm, they prefer channels that get a lot of watch time.
Okay.
So like a 30-minute episode versus like a 3-minute episode.
Right.
But I think it really depends on the creator and their content.
Sure.
Like my brother has a science channel and their videos work best around 3 minutes.
Okay. Your brother has a very popular science channel, so you don't downplay it, right? ASAP Science
That's right,
is extremely popular.
Yeah. And so for them, I mean, when YouTube announced their algorithm was changing, it's not like they're going to go and make 30-minute videos now because, I mean, first of all, that would take like years to produce their channel. But 3 minutes really works well for a simple scientific concept. So for them, they were like, nope, we're just keeping our content the same and that's how we're going to do it. So I think it's about knowing what works best for you and your audience.
Yeah.
So you could play, if you were going to start a channel, you could just go on and play around and do a few videos that you liked. And I think that's the key is you have to be proud of it and you know something that you're passionate about and then just see what happens.
Not a lot of people realize how much control is involved in this kind of thing too, you know, behind the scenes. And when I think of the public speaking stuff that I'm doing or even this podcasting, you know, I know where my mic is right now. I know where when I'm on stage, I know where my lights are. I know where the sound guy is. I know I know how the audience is going to laugh at certain things that I say and not at certain things that know. So there's a lot of you know, for as much as you play in parts of it. And I think that's where I'd have to get more comfortable with the YouTube piece is really that this is something new and it'll take practice like anything
100%,
else. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what holds people back from doing a lot of new things.
For sure. The fear of failure.
The fear of the unknown.
Or not looking good, especially if you have an established presence somewhere else. I mean, for me, I was doing so much TV when I started YouTube and people were like, well, why would you do YouTube when you can go on TV? Like, why would you even? But for me, it was something I saw potential in. And my first video was really horrible. Like, it was just...
What was it? What was your first?
Oh, my God. I think I did... I had just done a TV segment on this phenomenon called a thigh gap. I feel like this was like a really popular trend.
Yeah.
And I was mad about it because I was like, this is something that like, I don't even know why this is a trend. This is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And so I went on my channel and I was like, I was basically just talking about why this is like really stupid and something. Yep. And why it was kind of unhealthy to think in that way. And so, but it was in my office and it was really crappy quality. The sound was really bad. And then I just kind of edited it together and threw it up. Yeah. But I think just getting something up there is really scary. But every single week when you do it, you'll get better and better. And and that's the idea. Is it's just little tweaks every week.
Well, if you need a mentee on YouTube stuff, then I'm willing to learn.
Oh my God, I'm totally down. I could talk about YouTube all day. It's so much fun.
So you know, you've been in doing media things for a while, traditional media and new media as well. You mentioned the thigh gap. How many of these trends have you seen come along over the years?
Oh my gosh, so many.
Yeah, and often it's like they find 3 is a trend in media. For those who don't know, they find 3 kids who are doing this weird thing, and then suddenly it's sweeping the nation, right?
Exactly. Gosh.
So you must have commented on a lot of these types of things over the years.
Yeah, certainly. And I think a lot of them are just kind of designed to make people freak out. Right. And so so I get a lot of questions on my channel, even in my DMs about kind of trending things like this, or whether it's like a celebrity or some kind of surgery that's really popular. Yeah. But I think those types of things are really can really, on top of all of the other things that teen girls go through, can really add to the stress. Sure. And so I think that it's part of my job to kind of say, okay, this is like not important at all.
Well, and especially since that stress is being constructed for people. It doesn't actually exist. It's not a thing, really.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's just being given to you. So what's trendy now? What are people anxious about now?
What are people anxious about? Oh my gosh. Well, I'm thinking. Okay, so what is really popular? Okay, so really popular right now is a new app called TikTok.
I have not even heard of this.
It's sweeping the nation.
I find as I get older, the less and less I've heard about things. I still find Snapchat stupid, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's on Snapchat anymore.
Yeah. Oh, really?
No,
okay.
It's
well, there we
completely
go.
dead
there we
now.
go. Yeah.
So, but TikTok is like, okay, if you've ever heard of an app called Musical.ly, Musical.ly was very popular and was bought by TikTok, a Japanese company, and now this is kind of like the new place where young people are spending all their time, and it's even like that kind of culture is now filtrating into YouTube as well. The problem with TikTok, and so I actually did a video all about TikTok and trying to going on the platform and actually doing TikTok videos. The problem with it is that it's very superficial and the clips are only 15 seconds.
Oh, wow.
So you become a follower of someone without really knowing them, and it's all based on looks and kind of superficial.
Well, that was like the Vine thing too. That died too, didn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a bit of a tough place for young people to be spending a lot of time because they're not really getting advice or education. It's really just kind of seeing these other people in a very superficial way.
Right.
And I have a feeling, I mean, there's no studies done on it yet, but I have a feeling it could really lead to some low self-esteem or it's a sketchy place. If you have kids and they're on TikTok, I would say probably you want to limit the time that they spend on it.
Yeah, for sure. So what can people possibly say in 15 seconds? It takes me 15 seconds to try to think of what I'm going to say, not let alone say it.
So this is the problem with TikTok is that you're not even saying anything. You're actually just lip syncing to a song.
Okay, I gotcha.
So it's kind of fun because there's a musical component, and that's why I enjoyed going on TikTok and making some videos. But then there's also this aspect of you're not really saying anything, and you're not really following people because you want to hear what they have to say. You're following them because it's entertaining and those people are attractive, or so it's a very superficial place to be spending time.
Well, and I imagine it's that little dopamine hit or whatever it is that you get when you see something you enjoy, pleasurable, attractive, whatever, and then it's gone.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So if you're posting videos on TikTok, it can be really addictive for kids, I think, to say, wow, I'm getting all this attention and all I did was put up a 15-second clip of me lip syncing. Right. Yeah. So it doesn't really, anyone can do it. It doesn't really require any kind of like barrier to entry. Right. So, so I think that's why you should check it out.
No, I won't. No, I don't want to check it out. And it'll be over by the time I download it, I'm sure, anyway. So, okay, so TikTok.
That's the latest, greatest app that everyone's on.
That's the latest, greatest app, okay.
Hinge is the new dating app. I don't know if you
I have not even, I don't use any dating apps anyway, so I'm not familiar. What's Hinge?
Actually really funny. So Hinge, I've worked with some clients who are using Hinge, but also we're doing this new series on my channel where I work with people individually on their relationships. I kind of go to them and work with them to kind of help them in whatever way they need. So whether we go out in public and talk to people or we go on a dating app and help their profile or whatever. And so I was working with a friend of mine, Rachel David, who's also kind of like a YouTuber and kind of public figure. And she was looking to date. And so I set up a profile for her. And Hinge is apparently like the new place where everyone's meeting.
Okay.
It took me a while to figure this out because I was on Tinder and a bunch of other apps for her, and I wasn't finding people that actually met the criteria that she'd given me. And I was like, she was really specific, I guess. Like
apparently,
she's a very high profile person, and she's like, they have to be this, and this.
Sure.
And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So I was feeling very overwhelmed, and then I asked my husband, oh my gosh, like what are the apps? And so he asked around at work. He works at Salesforce, which is like a whole bunch of young kind of competitive guys, and he's like, oh, Hinge is where it's at. Okay. So I went on Hinge, and all of the people were meeting her criteria. So I thought, okay, this is interesting. I guess there's a lot of new people that are kind of on Hinge, and it's a little bit different than a typical dating app because you really have to say more about yourself. It's not just pictures, but you have to say kind of interesting things about your life, and then they highlight that on your profile.
Preferably true things.
True things, but funny things as well. And they kind of edit it together to make this really neat little profile that you can scroll down. And so what you get a sense of a person.
So doing this kind of work, what did you find that people are looking for? What are, I assume they're diverse, but how do you help somebody construct a profile for a dating app?
Gosh, well, I mean, dating apps are very tough, but I think that the problem that most people fall into on dating apps is actually that they spend too much time talking to people before they actually meet in person, which is a huge waste of time because you're not going to know if you have chemistry with someone until you meet them. I mean, period.
Right.
So what happens
rule out
is
if they're going to like kill you, and then you're probably good. Everything after that's probably fine.
Yeah, well, you can still meet in a public place like a Starbucks or something and go on a 2-minute date and be like, okay, this isn't working out. This isn't going to work, but at least meet them because a lot of people will spend like 6 months and they'll be like, it's my soulmate. And then like they meet and and they're like, okay, yeah, like this isn't going to happen.
Right. Well, because it's not a real relationship if you're just texting back and forth.
It's really
right?
not, right? And you just cannot understand if you're compatible physically with someone and even emotionally if you just don't spend time with them in person.
Yeah.
So I met my husband the traditional way, which was in a bar.
Fair enough.
Which was pretty funny because I think at that time, I was pretty young actually. It was like maybe 12 years ago now. I was in my master's and I kind of looked around and he approached me, but it was like, and in those days you could kind of look around and like see who you find attractive, or you kind of know immediately when you see someone and you're like, okay, I think I could get along with that person. But online dating is so different because you really cannot get a sense of someone just from a photo, I don't think.
Well, I'm not familiar with the statistics or if there's really much research at all on the staying power of social media relationships and if these kinds of connections actually last.
Well, they do.
Oh, they do?
They do. But you just have to get out there and meet enough people.
Right.
And people get really frustrated when they've met 3 people and like, oh, I haven't found the one yet. And I'm like, no. Like, you really have to keep trying and go on like 20 dates because... like when you see that person or when you're with that person that you actually have a connection with, you're going to know.
I tell people that about therapists too, actually, by the way. Don't you, just because you have one bad or underwhelming experience with a therapist, maybe it just didn't work. Maybe it just didn't connect. Go out and date a bunch and see who you like.
Fit is everything.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you.
So then once you start to get to know that person, how does your marriage work? What do you do to make it work?
Oh, you mean like once you're in a
what's
relationship?
important in these relationships that make them work?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I think in any relationship is making that person feel important because they're a big part of your life. So with us, what we do, I mean, obviously we have a child and another one on the way. We're really busy, but we always make time for each other. So we set aside one night every other week where we have our nanny stay and we go on a date.
Nice.
So I'll plan it or he'll plan it. And we just went on a nice little weekend away to New York for my birthday. So like there's little things like that we do that we make sure we're putting the time into each other.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a lot of work.
Not at all. Yeah. It can be inconvenient to schedule something, but then you're so glad that you did it because I think a lot of couples really get lost in the kind of day to day and life is busy. We all know, like we've got jobs, we've got kids, and it can be really hard to say, we actually need to work on this as a relationship too, whether or not it's going well or it's not going well. This is something that we have to put time into because otherwise it will not be successful.
Sure. So what do you think kills most relationships?
There's a number of things that can kill relationships, but I think the number one thing is prioritizing one another and the relationship. So saying things like, oh, well, I don't have enough time to really talk to you, to sit down and have a conversation or to set goals. And that's not, I don't think anyone ever consciously says that, but I think it can happen as a result of just life happening. So I think if there are couples out there and you're feeling like you want to work on your relationship or you need work, a lot of the time it's just a matter of saying, okay, what kind of questions can I ask you that really help me understand where you're at right now, that make you feel important, and that help you understand that I'm invested in the relationship still.
And is that the kind of work you're not practicing anymore, but your teams throughout the city, is that the kind of work they're doing in marriage and family therapy? Yeah,
a lot of the time, yes. So a lot of them are trained in kind of traditional marriage and family therapy, but sex therapy is another big thing as well. Some couples have a lot of trouble connecting, so that can be individual or couples therapy. And so I'd say like for the most part, the practice is really like at the heart of it is relationships, but we work with a lot of other general issues as well.
One of the my favorite things that I think marriage has taught me so far is how many eccentricities I have. And I can change a lot of them. I try hard. But then part of it is just willing to accept, look, I'm not going to be perfect and neither are you, and that's okay. 100%. We're two imperfect people.
Of course. Yeah, of course. That's part of it, right? And I think if you find a partner who loves your eccentricities, that's even better.
Love is a strong word for eccentricities. But yes, I mean,
someone who it bothers less than it might bother someone else.
Do you find this have you seen this in the social media dating piece where, everything is so constructed, so intentional? I saw a study before that if you wear a red shirt in your Tinder profile, you're going to get more clicks or something like that. Yeah. Is that actually true, by the way?
That's true.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. So, but, everything is so intentional. you're not posting those awkward moments where somebody said, something and you answered inappropriately or said the wrong thing or did a weird thing or, you're not posting all your weird things about yourself.
No,
Does that
but
surprise more people?
Yeah, it does. But the thing is, like, whether or not you meet on social media, you're going to face all these issues eventually anyway.
Sure.
So I'm not against social media, like meeting over social media or Tinder or whatever app you're using, because the truth is, like, it's all going to come out anyway. It's just a matter of like how to find those people that you would date.
Once you start to get to know them, but is there a generational difference? I think I qualify as an old millennial, according to the
1982.
which that makes me and it's like makes me feel even older than it actually is to call it. Anyway, right. Anyway, I forget what I was just going to say. But a generational a change where are people looking more for that immediate gratification now than people used to? Like, sometimes people would stay married, often detrimentally, regardless of any circumstance, but now it seems more immediate.
Yeah, I think there is an aspect of that, especially because in dating and relationships, you're going to have people that would have done that anyways way back in the day that are kind of like the player or someone who doesn't want to settle down. But unfortunately for those people, it's just way easier for them to do that now, kind of exploiting this technology that's now at their fingertips. So I think you do have to be careful when you're on social media and make sure that I think it's just evaluating the people that you're going on dates with and making sure that you feel that connection with them.
I'm an introvert. That often surprises people who don't really know me, but part of being an introvert is that you have a lot of associates and only a few close friends.
Yeah.
So a lot of my associates think that I'm an extrovert, but my close friends know, we got to leave him alone. He needs some alone time.
That's nice.
But I imagine that must be really hard for people, that it's so easy to have hundreds of associates now who don't really know anything about you.
Yeah.
But it seems to be getting harder and harder to make close friends.
Yeah, and I'd say that's the same with some of my subscribers and followers on social media, is that I think this is the generation that young kids are growing up in right now, which is I think that is one of the big challenges that's facing us today.
You're not joining the army or whatever with a bunch of people and building lifelong relationships. You're casually encountering people.
Yeah, there's so much more of this kind of superficial relationship. So even if you have a best friend and you're texting back and forth, there's a lot more communication, but it seems to be like less deep communication.
Quality.
Yeah. So I think that real in-person relationships are really important for young people and for everyone. But making sure you're limiting screen time, because ultimately screen time is what leads you to kind of these superficial, and I'm guilty of that too, even on Instagram, responding to people and friends and stuff, making comments. But
you exist professionally on a screen.
100%.
So limit your other screen time, not the Ask Kimberly screen time.
Yeah, well, if it's what you do for a living, But
no, I mean in terms of watchers. Sorry, they should still watch you, even if they're limiting. They should still watch you.
Well, I think you can watch the things that are important to you, but know when to turn it off and know when to say, okay, now I'm going to focus on the people I love.
Right.
So, because I hear so many couples that say, we spend so much time together, but we're literally both in our phones or we're on our iPads until we go to bed. And it's so sad to see that you could have such a quality relationship die because of technology or because there's just not enough attention paid.
Yeah, two people sitting next to each other on their phones and there's no connection at all between them.
Yes.
Versus, in a weird kind of way, once you get to a certain level in a secure relationship, you can sit next to somebody and watch a movie or both reading books or something, and you still feel very connected.
Yes.
But there's something about the screen, about the phone, that seems to sever that.
Yeah, it can be very distracting for people, I think, a lot of the time. So And I've read some literature as well on like parenting, like parents who use their phones too much around their kids. Like it can make the kid feel like they're not a very big priority. And I think that can be really detrimental to any relationship.
Well, and it seems, I think, in some of that research, to make the parent more impatient as well. Partly, I think, because if your attention's on one thing and it's being pulled away, as kids will do, or partners or anybody else.
A million times a day.
But that irritates people because their attention is being moved around.
Yeah.
Right? I feel irritable when I'm on Facebook too much or Twitter.
Yeah, me as well. So I think that's something that I think we all need to kind of be mindful of. I have a feeling like in 10 years there's going to be so much research on social media and phones that I think that there will be like mental health days where people just don't use their phone, like maybe every Sunday.
I do it. I do it for sure. Yeah. Actually,
I'd be so up for that. If when no one's using social media.
I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's an adult summer camp that's a digital detox of sorts, and those are becoming more popular now as well.
I think I know somebody that goes to that camp.
Apparently, it's a lot of fun because it's like it's just stuff phones and even the internet came out while we were alive.
Yeah.
That's an old millennial thing.
Yep.
But we remember a time before these.
We do.
It sounds like such an old fogey conversation right now.
Where you have to go knock on somebody's door and say hello.
Yeah. So what's next for you in terms of what you're creating, what you're working on? You know, you're focusing on being a YouTuber now. So what's next?
Well, I have a lot of things that I kind of want to do. This is the year I promised myself that 2019 would be the year that I do all the things I'm afraid to do. So for me, that really involves being a lot more vulnerable. I feel like I've kind of come a long way on YouTube and in my practice and stuff, but this year I'm going to go even farther. And
what are you afraid of?
Well, I think the thing that I've been the most afraid of is sharing personal information because it's always been in a professional context.
So you nodded politely when I said about the stages being about control and knowing where everything is, but then you didn't actually say, no, I do the same thing. I tell people what I want people to know, right?
Well, I think we all do.
No, we all do. That's not a criticism at all. That's I do that. That's why, in some ways, why we do this, that it feels safe, that we know what we're doing.
Definitely. Right? And so just before the holiday, just in the last few weeks, I've told a couple stories on YouTube that were very personal. So one of them was the experience that I had giving birth to my daughter, which was very traumatic. Actually, it was the first really traumatic experience I've ever had. Yeah. So I told a little bit about that story. And then actually last week, this is kind of funny, I recreated Cardi B's maternity photos, and they're all actually nudes. But you can't see anything on YouTube. It's not like super racy or anything like that. But it was something that was super creative. That was something that was completely out of my comfort zone. But I just said, okay, let's go for it and let's do it because my audience chose Cardi B. Yeah. I thought they were going to choose like Shakira or something. And I was like, okay, that'll be fine. But Cardi B is like extremely racy, and I was like,
you got to give the audience what they want, right?
Oh my god, this is not like me to do this at all. But I think that I'm just kind of willing to say, okay, I surrender, and I'm just gonna just be a part of the audience and let myself look stupid at times or vulnerable and share my own stories, because I think that really is part of the culture, but also people understanding that you can be a professional and be a human at the same time.
Well, and also I really respond to this idea of not avoiding things because they're uncomfortable, but all my life when I reflect on it, when I feel discomfort, it's an urge to run into it. That's an indicator that there's something there that I want to explore and that it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
But that seems to be, I mean, phobias and fears and OCD, it's the exact opposite. The things you're afraid of, so you run away from them, right?
Yeah, but ultimately, like for me, I find some of those videos, like the ones where I really share my personal stories, are the ones that people react to the most. And it might even be something, like I shared a story about an abusive boyfriend that I had growing up, and that was a really scary time for me, but the responses that I got from subscribers were just so powerful. It was like, well, now I know, like I'm gonna know what the signs are.
Yeah.
So
well, that's real life, right?
Yeah.
It's not, everything isn't about how to know if a boy likes you is part of life, but that's not all of life. There's also that boy that likes you in the wrong way, or whatever it is.
For sure.
Well, that's good. That I'm glad that you're able to take your platform and connect with people in that way and give them some useful information.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. What would you tell somebody, especially a young person, a young girl in particular, who's really struggling right now?
Gosh, well, I can definitely relate, and I think that a lot of us can probably put ourselves in your shoes. And life as a girl does get better as you get older and as you learn and as you form new relationships and learn more about yourself. And I think it's not always comfortable in the moment. And if you're struggling, I would just say hang in there and try to find people around you that you care about, who you love, and who can help you. It's really tough. And it's not like anyone's saying it isn't tough, because it is.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Kimberly Moffit, PhD level, not allowed to call herself a psychologist, but really is in every sense of the term. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that's my conversation with Kimberly Moffit, psychotherapist, relationship expert, YouTuber. You can find Kim on YouTube. You can follow her hashtag as well, Ask Kimberly, for all your relationship questions. Please watch her videos; they're really interesting. And I was so glad that we were able to talk about things like relationships and her work in that space. Don't forget to follow me as well on Twitter and Facebook at Mark Hennick, at MarkHenick. Don't forget one N. And don't forget to go on the website, too, markhennick.com/so-called-normal. That's it for now. Please subscribe to the show, rate it. This has been such an amazing experience so far, all these people that we've been talking to, and we have so many more really exciting guests coming up every single week on So-Called Normal. So tune in. We'll talk to you again next time.